Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. The government intends to proceed with Independence Day celebrations. Whoa, ain't that a surprise, man? Including the traditional parade at the Queen's Park, Savannah, despite the ongoing state of emergency. Same one that they used last year to say that they were not going to be able to host the Independence Parade. Yeah, they were under threat last year. This year, they're not under threat yet. They still have a SOE. All right, then. Defense Minister Wayne Sturge confirmed the plans during Friday night's Standing Finance Committee debate in Parliament while responding to questions from opposition MPs about funding for Independence Day activities and whether the celebrations could proceed while emergency measures remain in force. As I tell you, we're still in emergency and in an emergency, you know, people. Yes, a state of emergency. There's a national security threat. But the national security threat appears to be not that serious anymore, so that's why we can have the Independence Parade. Taking people for fools. That is what you're doing. The confirmation comes almost a year after government cancelled the traditional Independence Parade, citing security concerns. It begs the question, why did they actually cancel it last year? Was it really just out of spite? Now, last I didn't believe so. I honestly did think that there was a national security threat there. I did believe the government when they said that ministers were threatened by some big, powerful warlord outside there in Trinidad and Tobago. Only to realize that a year later, we're still under an SOE and still under a so-called threat, but now they say, nah, we could go ahead now and have the Independence Parade. We still need time to get this threat under control. My Lord, I'm telling you, God will hold all you accountable in them. We voted for you all. I voted for UNC my entire life. Kamala come this time around and lied to people and transformed into another Balize. The decision sparked criticism from the opposition and prompted questions about whether this year's event would also be called off. Can't blame them. People wondering, okay, we're still under SOE, and there's still a threat, a national security threat. Yes. Jeremy? Those concerns were amplified on Thursday night when the opposition leader Penelope Beckles, Penny. You know, she's taking advantage of the situation. She's moving too smart, though. Certain things that are allowed to happen recently, you should have condemned. What was said by Kareem Marcel? Yeah, you should have condemned that. It was very, 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 very controversial, very offensive. Yeah, he claimed it was UNC politicians he was talking about, but nevertheless, we all know it wasn't. And he should have come out and said that he was wrong. But again, back to this. I don't want to stray from the point. Those concerns were amplified on Thursday night when the opposition leader Penelope Beckles suggested the annual parade may not take place for a second consecutive year, and said the People's National Movement was prepared to organize its own celebrations if the event was cancelled. She would have won some serious political points by doing so. UNC decided, nah, we ain't going to do that. We will get them. I'm telling you, I wonder why it is they really prevented that. That is something that is part of our legacy. And I'm telling you, I honestly thought there was a threat, so I supported it. To realize most likely it was just political games. Maybe it was just out of spite. Maybe because they realized they didn't have enough finances at that point in time. Yeah, you inherited a bankrupt economy. But something that's part of Trinidad's tradition, you decided to cancel because of money and then use a national security threat as an excuse. My response, there's a so-called ongoing threat to our national security which has resulted in another extension of the SOE. That's so Queen comes. And yet the government has decided that there will be an Independence Parade this year. So the threat different this year then? The threat was bigger last year than this year. That's what you're trying to say, right? Because you did say that, you know, well, things getting under control, you know, but we need to finish the job. All right, so you finish the job. So the threat that you had last year is no longer relevant this year. And therefore, but you just still have the SOE to finish the job. My goodness, Queen comes and your crew. This level of deception and political games will ensure that UNC never wins another general election here in TNT. Because people, if it's just normal crime you're talking about, and it's not there's no longer an actual national security threat that is posing a threat to government ministers and so forth. We are continuing with the SOE for. In other words, you're proving, you're admitting to people that is all about just fighting normal crime and not anything significant to talk about. It's just crime you're trying to get under control using an SOE when you're supposed to just make sure that the police do their job. The Prime Minister, you geniuses refuse to acknowledge the fact that Trinis vote PNM by default. If you're going to lie and persecute citizens the same way PNM has done for decades, then patriots will return to their first love. I keep telling people that over and over again. The UNC base is not large enough to win an election on their own. And it is going to, and it is already shrinking because of the lies that were spewed by Kamala before the elections. She said she was going to reduce the fines and she doubled them instead. She come and double fees and duties and all kind of things too. And now you're continuing with her SOE, which is a PNM kind of style thing. Is Rowley started this whole, they do the ball rolling. So people, the UNC base going to shrink. Last year we saw that the PNM base shrunk significantly. So just imagine what's going to happen to the UNC because Trinidadians are fed up of the lies and the propaganda and the political games. So the UNC base going to shrink. The PNM base might end up growing back because they realize, you know what? Nah, boy. You know, we stayed home because we didn't want to vote for UNC. But we realized that what UNC persecuting us and stereotyping us and calling people agitators that just standing up for their rights. You know what? We go hold we nose, as some people they say, and we will go out and vote for the PNM, we first love, even though they abuse us as well. And the swing voters for sure, people. The swing voters who voted for UNC this time will say never, not again, never again. You know what? We will stick to PNM. We don't like the PNM, you know, but we will rather give them the vote because they were the founding fathers of the independent country. I really blame them either. Can't blame them either because you trusted the UNC, actually believed the UNC would have made a difference. So for spite, they will go back and vote for the PNM. But in my opinion, what I would advise people to do, stop with the spite, stop with the nonsense, stop with the immaturity, and give a third party a chance. Give me somebody like Michaela Pandey a chance, the man. Because the game, the back and forth, we realized that it's not making a difference. Not making a difference. UNC governing in certain ways much better than the PNM. But it's being overshadowed by all these lies and discrimination and bullying. Kamala behaving like Rowley, telling you, talking to people however she wants. You talking about a young woman like Alyssa Phillips and her movement and calling them agitators and being used by the opposition, the PNM, because the woman standing up for her friends' rights. People saw the video. People saw that the police officer shot into Joshua Samru's car 19 times. And yet now she's being framed for the murder. I mean, come on. People had a right to protest for that. And instead of you coming out and showing empathy, no, instead you decided to use it as a way to win political points with your base and stereotype the woman as an agitator. And everybody else who calling out for justice and reform in the TTPS, you calling agitators as well, including me. Now, you don't know me personally. You must never see my videos ever. But I also support the cause. So therefore, I'm an agitator as well. No, Kamala, you have betrayed the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore, the swing voters will swing back to the PNM. But I'm hoping this time around, swing voters are begging all there. Let me swing a little different this time, man. Swing forward instead of side to side, let's swing forward. Yeah, change the swing. So they can swing forward instead and let us vote for a different party this time and give Michaela a chance. If she fails too, well, we swing her back out too. Sounds like a good idea? I think so. The government of Trinidad and Tobago has formalized a partnership with the United States-based Starkey Hearing Foundation, signing a memorandum of understanding aimed at strengthening hearing health services across the country and the wider Caribbean. The agreement was signed at the parliamentary complex by Minister of Health Dr. Lakram Bodo and Mr. Richard S. Brown, President and Board Chair of the Starkey Hearing Foundation. The MOU covers cooperation in hearing health, screening, training, and capacity building, technical support, community outreach, which is really important, and improved access to hearing assistive technology. Dr. Bodo described the signing as a significant step toward improving support for persons living with hearing impairment, particularly children, noting the partnership would help build local capacity and broaden access to care for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. Brown, for his part, reaffirmed the Foundation's commitment to sustainable, community-based hearing healthcare and expressed interest in using the Trinidad and Tobago partnership as a springboard for broader regional cooperation across the Caribbean. Oh, this is some good news.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago Monday, June 15, 2026. The weather in Trinidad and Tobago on Monday, June 15, 2026 will feature isolated early morning showers giving way to mostly fair, hazy and at times breezy conditions. Temperatures will reach a maximum high of 32 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius and drop to an overnight low of 25 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius with a heat index reaching 35 degrees Celsius. A moderate concentration of Saharan dust will be present in the atmosphere, so sensitive individuals should take necessary precautions. Marine conditions will feature moderate seas in open waters with waves near 2.0 meters. In sheltered areas, waves will range from 1.0 to 1.5 meters and become occasionally choppy. Winds will blow from 0.8 to 40 kilometers per hour from the northeast to east to southeast.
Regional news now. The first concrete has been poured for the multi-billion-dollar Parica Modern Port Facility and Waterfront Development Project, signaling the start of construction on a major initiative that is expected to transform the Essequibo Gateway into a hub for regional trade, tourism, and transportation in Guyana. President Dr. Irfan Ali announced the milestone on Saturday, sharing photographs of the works. The project forms part of a wider vision to modernize the Parica waterfront and create an international standard port facility capable of supporting cargo operations, cruise tourism, and luxury marine travel. That is wonderful news, and of course, under the Irfan Ali administration, carrying his country forward closer and closer to first world status. It may not happen in our lifetime. I'm hoping our lifetime remains and that the rapture takes place, but what I'm saying is, but it's still, he's going forward instead of backward, and that's wonderful. The management of Kingston Public Hospital says surgical services at the facility continue to be disrupted because of challenges with the central air conditioning system serving 2 operating theaters. That is really terrible. I mean, come on, Andrew Holness, you all need to do better than that. The Southeast Regional Health Authority said the faults have led to delays in the scheduling and completion of elective surgeries across multiple specialties. According to Sunday's statement, the issues are linked to the hospital's aging infrastructure, which is, listen to this, people, 250 years old. Nah, man, you have to do better than that, Andrew Holness. You have to do better than that. And the deterioration of critical components that are not readily available locally. The hospital said maintaining appropriate environmental conditions in operating theaters is essential for patient safety. Exactly. Infection prevention and compliance with clinical standards. It added that replacement parts are being air freighted into the island with plans advanced to replace the system. But why wait so long? But nevertheless, I like Andrew Holness, just get the job done now, please. SERHA said major repair work is currently underway to restore the affected air conditioning systems and return the operating theaters to full capacity. Let's hope it happens soon. It said the work is being carried out by an agent of the equipment manufacturer under a joint arrangement between SERHA and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The hospital said emergency and life-saving surgeries continue to be prioritized, while clinical teams are reviewing schedules and will contact affected patients regarding rescheduling as capacity improves. Wow. International news now. Trump says Israel's attack on Beirut shouldn't have happened. We are close to an Iran deal. They're hearing that months upon months now. You really expect them to listen to you, Trump? Eh? Israel or Hezbollah should not attack anymore. You, I'm telling you, think you're the king of the world. Hezbollah does not care about you and will never listen to you, Trump. This morning's attack, well, that was yesterday, of course, but we're quoting what Trump said. This morning's attack on Beirut should not have happened, particularly on a special day when we are so close to a peace deal with Iran. You think that Netanyahu have time to waste on you anymore, Trump? You already realize that you are just a talker. You may not be Biden's don't. You act a little bit, but you don't act enough. You don't ever finish the job. Israel has a right to defend itself. He went on to say, against threats, but the attack it was responding to was very small and meaningless. Nobody was hurt, injured, or killed, and should not disrupt this important process. But nobody was hurt either when your two military officers were shot at in their, I think it was a helicopter. They managed to survive. What are you talking about? You're a hypocrite, Trump. Bold-faced hypocrite. We are very close to a deal that will bring peace to the region, including Lebanon, and all sides should stand down. Because that's all you care about. You just want to be remembered as the peacemaker in the Middle East, no matter what the cost. No matter if Israel has to end up enduring continued attacks by Hezbollah and other proxies of the Iranian Ayatollah terrorist regime. There should be no more attacks by Israel anywhere in Lebanon, but there should also be no more attacks by any other party, including Hezbollah, against Israel. But I was showing you, Trump, Hezbollah doesn't listen to you because they continue to attack Israel, and then you want Israel to just what? Stand down, and wait until you give them some green light, as though I'm telling you, you feel you are the king of Israel. This could be the beginning of a long and beautiful peace. Let's not blow it, he went on to say. Thank you for your attention to this matter. My response, who is Trump to tell Israel what they should consider to be a small and meaningless attack? All he cares about is making his precious deal with the Iranian terrorists. You don't make deal with terrorists. I've said that years now. And Amir Safati finally realizing that as well. I mean, he never agreed with it, but he used to be trying to make excuses for Trump. Thankfully, so far, he's no longer doing so. Eric Stakelbeck continues to disappoint me, though, because he continues to say he doesn't agree, but yeah, he's trying to make excuses for Trump. If Iran or one of their proxies were to attack the USA, would Trump assess the situation to determine if his military should retaliate? Trump, let's just say, well, see, people use another scenario and said if Canada or Mexico are attacked, but no one was hurt. Would you just say, well, for peace sake, we will not retaliate? Yeah, right. But you remember, America thinks that they are above the entire world. And I mean, they are the greatest nation on earth, and the most powerful nation. Doesn't mean you don't have to have respect for other people's sovereignty either. We are not talking about going after the criminals and the terrorists. I have no issue with that. But your allies, Israel is your greatest ally on earth. And you trying to bully them and control them? Never, never. Stop trying to bully Israel, President Trump. Senator Mitch McConnell has been hospitalized for an undisclosed health issue, according to his office. The 84-year-old senator is receiving treatment at the hospital, with aides saying he's receiving excellent care. McConnell announced last February that he would not seek re-election and would retire when his current term ends in January 2027. I do hope and pray that he recovers fully in Jesus' name. 84 years is a blessed age, but most of the times I pray for people to live straight up to 100. And even though I have disagreed with Mitch McConnell in the past and called him a rhino and whatsoever, that's just politics. I pray that he fully recovers in Jesus' name.
Bible quote of the day. Matthew 4:1-4. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God."
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all, in Jesus' name.